Hello and welcome to another one from the Cronos Watcher. In this video we are going to be going through our first bit of project deep dive. Not so much a deep dive, but just a white paper walkthrough, we'll call it. Something I'd like to do just to keep up with everything and share my opinions on things as they come out. Again, none of this is financial advice, just sharing the opinions on the project with my limited experience, 2 years plus at least in Ethereum and the DeFi space. So I'm kind of interested watching the whole nodes thing and following along, so we'll share it here and do jump into the comments, tell me what you thought, what you'd like me to see cover more, and we'll keep it to the kind of new projects and just kind of share the opinions, as I say. Maybe one day we'll have a look through some of the established projects just to see more what made them successful. But for now, let's jump into the website here from Loaded Nodes. They just came out with this recently. Up until now, it was sort of it was different. It was just a plain color, and all it had at the top was the logo, and you could connect your wallet for a whitelist spot, I believe. So that has changed quite a bit. In the meantime, you can see now they have the Lite-Paper link up in front, and it's coming soon. The website is under development. The Discord and the Twitter are there as well. So I am in the Discord myself. It seems like there's a good vibe. The devs seem to be pretty interactive, and the mods are very professional, and it looks great in there. The favicon you can see up here in the corner, the way that loads up and shows up properly. The logo here you can see is used as like emojis and all of that great stuff in the Discord. So clearly they have a good mod team and stuff like that together, and we'll go through in the white paper itself. They have the members broken down, but I spotted that immediately with the project. They had a lot of the theme, the format, the logo, things like that were already together and very good looking, so that's always a good sign for a project. So if we jump over here to the Litepaper, I've actually started at the bottom because I thought it was a good place. Good thing to bring up right from the off was the fact that they disclaim here in this section right at the end, the material on this website or document does not represent investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other type of advice, and you should use any of the content on this website or document as such. The Loaded Nodes team provides this document and website as a public service and is not responsible for and expressly disclaims all liability for damages of any kind resulting from use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained within this website or document. That's a mouthful of a sentence, particularly the second one there. Basically what they're saying is they're warning you of the same thing I would like to in covering the project, that nothing here is financial advice and you must do your research. And of course, everything when we're looking at projects, all of its success can be dependent on luck, basically, sometimes, and how things go about can be dependent on market dynamics or ecosystem narrative, chain narrative, all of those kind of things. So definitely disclaiming their own responsibility in creating the project here and warning you of your responsibility as a consumer when you're looking into the project. So this is still a light paper. It's going to be updated. So it's just one to be careful of, I suppose, that you want to keep a close eye on the project in the meantime if you were considering investing in any way, and see how things develop. That's always a safe approach. But let's jump to the start here. They have the kind of Loaded Nodes information. I believe the team are from France. I think they're European at least, spread out maybe. So I suppose I hate to see things like this myself, the informations. But that's just a language barrier. It's not necessarily a reflection on a project. If things like small errors like that show up, it can just be a sign of the international times we're living in and the diversity. And again, something I'm sure, community members point out quite quickly. Sometimes that would be a red flag if there's kind of grammar and punctuation errors everywhere. But in this case, I think it is just a simple language barrier, small thing that escaped the eye of the team. But let's go through a few bits of this now. I'll have to sort myself out with some of that fancy highlighting software or something so I can jump back in on bits. This bit is more them just explaining what nodes as a service and DeFi as a service are. If you want to read that yourself, go into more depth. I like this bit they put in here though. Nodes are a new marketing concept that essentially allows investors and node owners to lock in their tokens in exchange for regular and perpetual return through DAS, DeFi as a service, or real nodes as a service. So you can see them recognizing the fact that there's so many people new to even the concept, whether or not they're new in cryptocurrency, new to the concept of a node, which is very fresh and new itself. I suppose it comes out of the proof of stake algorithms and things like that, those ways of thinking that we have developed over the past while to answer the proof of work conundrum and keep ourselves within ESG approaches to everything. So I suppose it's inspiration from Ethereum and that those approaches, I don't know deeper than that, but certainly is like a kind of an answer to proof of stake. And that's how our chain is actually run, is through nodes and validation. So I think they bring it up somewhere, but they do plan to create and purchase and create their own nodes. So we go through that here elsewhere in the white paper, but you can see they're just explaining the process of creating a node and stuff. Again, not so important right now. You could read through that stuff if you wanted yourself for fun. And then the node creation and the LDN repartition was something I wanted to have a look at when creating a node with your LDN tokens. That will be the token of the ecosystem. 55% of it is going to go into the rewards pool. There'll be 20% transferred to the treasury wallet, 15% go to liquidity, providing liquidity, LB farming essentially, and 10% of them are transferred to a team wallet for marketing, collaboration, dev payment, and the reserve pool. 10% sounds like I'm not sure on the maths of it obviously, but that hopefully that's enough essentially for them. But it is quite a chunk if you think about it, I suppose. 10% overall. And then a questioning percentage, they could say we could introduce a burn mechanism in the future. So I suppose they're leaving things open to that there, and they're kind of recognizing the fact that what have they got, 75, yeah, like that small 5% ish, what is it, 25. Yeah, okay, so they would obviously have to change the percentages here. And that question mark percentage would be fairly small. And I suppose they're implying a burn mechanism in the future to imply that there would be extra value in the token. That always, it's not necessarily a red flag, because I think this team are good, but suggesting and implying a burn mechanism without confirmation and things like that is a bit not sketchy, it's just a bit let's say like kind of ungentlemanly, let's say unladylike, whichever you want to put it, in the DeFi space. We want definite burn schedules or vesting schedules, whatever's happening with them. We want them declared on for us, it's not Etherscan anymore, now it's Cronos scan. We want those declared there so all of our market cap and our dynamics and everything show up the right way. So that's an interesting one, just want to maybe ask the team about. I'll have to do that myself, but let's move on from there because we have more tokenomics information down the road in here. So this is all the information about loaded nodes themselves, and it's some background on nodes. So there is some important stuff here. People who purchase one or more loaded nodes will receive passive rewards in the form of LDN tokens. The rewards come from the pool, so each node holder will be paid from this pool. In order to make loaded nodes accessible to everyone, there will be several tiers of nodes with different levels of daily rewards that require a certain amount of LDN tokens depending on the tier. So they're going to do a tiered system with different rewards levels. That's obviously a good sustainability mechanic mechanic in general, so hopefully a positive for it. That looks encouraging. Obviously, they're going to limit the supply to 1 million, and 58% of which they say will be allocated to the pool. Again, a lot of this comes back up in the section where I want to cover it properly, really, the tokenomics. But they are talking about it here in plain English, which is a good sign. And it looks like they want to be fairly declarative and upfront in their approach to putting across the information, which is also encouraging. You can see here if they do bring up that fact that if a protocol has high rewards, it's not durable, as they put it. So this is a good paragraph yourself to read through, because it's kind of explaining the fact that they have a sustainable approach, hopefully. Again, the sustainability is one that just has to be kind of policed and managed essentially by the project itself. Even if they put certain, it's this hard to explain this in plain English when you're not talking about maths and the specific way this pool works. But even if a project puts structures in place like these tiers and things like that, sometimes dynamics that were out of their control, like a massive blow up in popularity, can push things. And we've obviously seen that in other projects so far that possibly didn't expect what happened, and now are having to correct for it after the fact. So hopefully this is a good approach from them, and it looks like they're thinking about the potential downsides and really concentrating on the sustainability model. They also bring up the fact that taxes are simply a fee on, that your rewards are actually less if you have a sell tax. So I suppose they're recognizing the customers, the investors' position that way. The lower rewards, the better it is for a protocol. You can see here in the third paragraph, gives the protocol longevity and time to adopt as needed to make sure it stays afloat. No matter how hard a team is working, if you're working on the clock and you have a 30-day runaway before your project self-destructs, the chances of bringing a sustainable project to the Cronos ecosystem are low. So it seems that might be a bit of a dig. I don't know, maybe it's unintentional, but it's certainly topical. At least they are aware. Again, they're certainly aware of the nature of this stuff and what's going on with these node projects. We want to grow together and build something healthy for the long term. Indeed, becoming a validator on several blockchains, launching our NFT collection, then our marketplace will ensure sustainability for the future. So we'll get into it more, but they have hinted at an NFT collection and marketplace. So that's an interesting one, that they would have their own NFTs that I suppose might imply some sort of ticketry to the tiers, and again a reduction in sell tax, but I don't think it says here just NFT staking, so I don't think they've directly implied anything about reduction in fees. I do know it says somewhere that they will airdrop them during the launch, so that's an interesting one we'll get back to. We'll touch on that because they seem to have a different approach to it to other projects so far. So we have here their roadmap. They've laid it out if you want to go through this yourself. But it's an interesting one that it looks like our next move is going to be the launch of the contracts on the testnet. I presume they don't necessarily mean the loaded node testnet, unless that's them implying they're actually going to launch a validator on the testnet or something, or their own validator chain, like kind of almost like an L2 of loaded nodes. I don't think that's the case. I think they just mean to launch contracts and test them out on the testnet. But certainly then releasing the beta version of the site is the next step. And you can see it seems we have pretty much everything on the go. They have a tick there next to the smart contract development and testing. So I suppose you have to trust them that that's the case so far. It looks like there's a lot of work done on narrative media. They had a clip from their 3D artist that they mentioned in the team here I'll go through. Looks like there's a lot of work happening there. So that's already encouraging. Usually that work happens alongside development work. And that hopefully, again, we want to do your own research and be interactive with the team. But in the worst case scenario, there's a load of art and narrative media and stuff like that done, and there's no development at all. So we can hope that there's development in the meantime, and they've declared it here that the smart contract development and testing has begun at the very least, and the next step should be the launch of the contracts and the loaded node testnet. Again, I want to find out for myself what that actually means, the loaded node testnet. You can see that the rest of it, they plan to release a docs, get contract audits, implementation of a multi-sig, whitelist and pre-sale launch. So all of that before they do the launch, and then a public sale and launch. So they're going to have a whitelist and a pre-sale launch, and they have some things in the tokenomics about how they want that all to go, that we'll go through again. As I say, if you want to have a look through the rest of the roadmap, just some things I'll pick out, the NFT boosters, they call them, mid-start. So I wonder, is it, boost your percentage in terms of the daily rewards, and not just a cut on the tax. So they have opposite approach, boost your rewards rather than reduce your tax. And you can see they have some smart enough stuff, big build partnerships, big marketing campaign, release an alpha version of the marketplace. That's all very interesting stuff. But again, hopefully we have a team big enough for that. It seems like they do. We'll go through it there in the end. But what we want to see happening first, and is really important, is that the nodes are sort of successful, and that there is enough money pooled and can come back out of said team wallet and things like that. We'll go through their little infographic, that they will be able to actually fund a lot of this stuff. So I think we have that somewhere here. That's our charts. So yes, that's it. Sorry about that now. So I'll have to get rid of our deck screener page. So this is the infographic that we'll go through a bit more in a minute, but all of that is declared there. You want to make sure that there's enough in this reserve pool here. You can see it's declared over on this side. We want to make sure that there's enough there and enough in this team wallet to cover all of this stuff, because you can see the other percentages are going to be put elsewhere, but we'll go through more of that stuff in a short while. So they just have some details on the launch in the next page, in which they declare our lucky whitelisted members will be able to buy nodes directly in Crow with a maximum of 20 nodes per wallet. People who purchase during the pre-sale will also receive an LDN airdrop based on the number of nodes purchased as a reward for their early support. The public sale, this is the moment where the loaded nodes journey will start. We will drop the loaded nodes token contract address publicly, and everyone will be able to buy LDN to create their first loaded node. So what's happening there is it's a pre-sale of nodes just themselves, and obviously that's going to boost initial liquidity, and they are then going to airdrop LDN, and I presume based on the number of nodes purchased, and I presume the number of days they were held for. I'm not sure. That would be something to confirm with the team, but then anyone who bought nodes in the pre-sale will get the token airdropped to them. So that's how they're going to work it. They're going to sell nodes first, and then they're going to drop the token, and people can also buy said token that others were airdropped who bought early. So that's an interesting approach. I'd like to see how that goes down in how it's received in the Discord. They say here multiple anti-bot and anti-dump systems will be set in place for the launch. We are currently testing and working on it. They will be announced soon here. So there's obviously kind of one already in the whitelist pre-sale with the maximum of 20 nodes per wallet. And that's obviously, I suppose, a fifth of what the actual maximum is, I think. Actually, I'm not sure on that. That's just a guess, because normally it's 100 nodes for, that's kind of becoming the standard of all these new node project is 100 nodes per wallet. So you guess that that's probably a fifth of what the max allocation will be, and that would kind of make sense. It's just I'm wondering how people would take the fact that the whitelist pre-salers themselves, they can only buy nodes, not the token. And the public people who are buying on public, then the fact that they could be buying the token as it rises rapidly in price, because it's essentially fair game. I suppose that's how things work. That's how it goes down. It does look like a slightly fairer approach, because those who buy in the whitelist aren't just benefiting from the token, maybe not buying nodes and just holding the token. And 20 nodes per wallet again should ensure against any whale action or anything. Now I presume they have this kind of like set in the tokenomics and stuff. So let's have a look at that. Let's go over here to the mechanics section. You can see they have it nicely broken down. In fairness to them, it's a very well presented document. Again, there's a sort of a theme here with all of these headings. That's always all encouraging information. It's not the most important thing, but it's encouraging that there's a lot of effort gone in here. I like the fact that it's not just emojis everywhere as well, farmer emojis and stuff, which is fair enough, but they've gone to the effort at least of putting this together with nice symbols and all of this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's their own, but at least it's kind of matching color schemes around Discord and things like that. So here they have broken down the early loaded nodes supporter offering. We have a few main goals in mind for the implementation of our ecosystem, and the pre-sale will be the first step to bring the loaded nodes to life. First, we want to initialize the liquidity pool and reward participants who have supported our project from the start. We will take a snapshot of all node buyers during the pre-sale and reward them as the project evolves. So that's what I was saying in the section before. That's their approach. Essentially, they're going to airdrop the token afterwards, and your way of buying in is to buy the nodes, and this stops, I suppose, a token run and dump, which is a relatively good approach. I just like to see how it goes down, what people think of it, what the community thinks in general. We've made sure that all investors have an equal chance to access our pre-sale. To make the participation fair, bring security for early node participation. That's what was throwing me off. Fair and bring security for early loaded nodes investors. First of all, the pre-sale event for whitelisters, people who have been previously whitelisted will be able to buy nodes at a lower price than the public launch. So that's essentially it. I think it's going to be $2. So it's basically, a lot of this stuff is just them declaring what you know yourself, how a whitelist offering works. This is an interesting one, the use of the pre-sale capital. Each funding will, they say that through the pre-sale we aim to obtain funds to ensure the stability. They're basically declaring here what they will and won't use for the pre-sale capital. So they're going to fund an audit of the contracts, fund a powerful marketing campaign, the development of the load node ecosystem, and they say the infrastructure and security aspects of the project here, and fund the initial liquidity for LDN, and that's all from the pre-sale capital here. So that's interesting. I presume it will be enough, all of that capital. I suppose that's it's a good approach, at least, to declare this stuff. And I hope that the timeline of all of this works out here too. The only thing I would be not concerned about, but think about for myself at least, is the gap between the whitelist early offering and the public sale. Like, you don't want too huge a gap there. That's where you get boredom with a project and then not get the expected liquidity during the public sale. So that's all I would say about that, is like, how long do you expect all of this to last? Is that going to be a month? Because a month is a long time in this space. I think any node project launching whenever in the next few months will do okay. I think there'll be enough excitement, but just that's one to think about. How long is it going to take for the whitelist sale to go down? So they bring it up here. The pre-sale date will be held in Loaded Nodes DApp at the website at the beginning of April. The exact time will be confirmed prior to pre-sale launch. The pre-sale will run for 48 hours. So after that, how long is required, how much dev time is required. Contract audits tend to take at least a week or so, not to mind the fact that it doesn't look like they have any partnerships formed for that yet. So that's the only thing I would think about, is the timeline after the pre-sale date building up to the public launch. That's something I would like to find out from the team here. There's a couple of FAQs on how to participate. Not so important for the video, but if you want to look into that, it does say here, what's the airdrop? Members who purchase the whitelisters one or more loaded nodes during the pre-sale will receive an LDN airdrop based on the number of nodes purchased during the pre-sale. It looks like it's 25 with a load of useless zeros, because I would like a comma there, but I suppose an official sort of market type, it's 25,000 LDN will be sent to our early investors. So essentially, I believe, because I had a quick look over the tokenomics, in the next section we'll see that that's 2.5% of the 14.5 that goes to, what was it again? The pre-sale. It is 14.5. You can see it over here, the initial liquidity there. So let's jump back in and we'll go to the tokenomics. So the total supply, so all that will ever exist of the LDN, is 1 million. So I suppose it makes the kind of maths easier in the head, at least. So you got the usual stuff here, minus the contract address, which is going to be edited at launch. But this is the interesting bit for us here. We've got a little infographic here, and sorry about the red bit, you can see that, or the yellow bit, excuse me, you can see that's supposed to be 58% there at least. So that's that big chunk, and that's the reward wallet. So 58% will go to the reward pool there. You can see 18% of the supply will be for the treasury wallet. The main objective will be to secure and increase the value of LDN via different investments and other projects. So I don't know how much of that is other nodes or LP farming, investments in LP and stuff like that. Again, hopefully something that's very much upfront with the community, and something done with the community's support and some smart moves. Maybe they have some advisors for this or something. Hopefully they have people who know a lot more than all of us to dictate where that money goes. So as community members, that would be something to keep an eye on. 14.5% of the supply will be used during and for the pre-sale of the loaded nodes. It will allow the fixing of the initial liquidity. That's what I was talking about before, the fixing of it, with $240,000 US in CRO and 120,000 LDN, making it equal to or greater than €2 US initial price. So that's how they're going to kind of fix it. They're going to lock that much liquidity, 240,000 worth of CRO, in with 120 LDN, and this is what comes from. This is the initial liquidity. This is what comes from the pre-sale. You see that when people bought in, that's what that money partially will do. To ensure a stable token price at the beginning, we have set the initial liquidity to 12%. So that's how that works. Of the total supply. So that's the 125,000. In addition, the remaining 25, which would make it up to the 145 of 14.5%. You can see up here. The remaining $25,000 in LDN, is that what it'll be? I suppose it would. Yeah. The remaining 25,000 LDN, regardless, will be distributed to node buyers. Perhaps they just mean like cash sign here, I don't know, to node buyers as airdrop during the public launch. Okay, so that'll all turn around. So the initial investments will be used to bootstrap the liquidity and create the actual value of the token, and then the remainder of the LDN tokens will come back with that value during the airdrop. So that's how that's going to work out. Seems like fairly honest approach, pretty standard. 5.5% of the supply will go to the team. These tokens will not be vested, but every token action or every action taken with this supply will be confirmed by the whole team and announced to the community in order to avoid any problems. 4% will go into the reserve. This reserve pool will be used for development of the project, acquisition of talents with the aim to improve the project, marketing, collaboration with other projects. This reserve will also be used for the maintenance of our nodes validator to ensure the stability of our protocol. So essentially the only things I would think there is what is 4% going to add up to over the long term. How useful is that going to be? And if that's going into the marketing and collaboration with other projects as well as maintenance of nodes, because presume as a node project you basically want to compound your nodes as well. The more money the protocol makes, the more nodes you want to buy and establish a larger and larger position. So hopefully that's something that's done with the community in mind and their input. And again, I suppose they're making themselves look very honest, at least. Not that they aren't, but it's just something to keep an eye on with projects. The fact that they say 5.5% will go to the team, but these tokens will not be vested. Every action taken with this supply will be confirmed by the whole team and announced to the community in order to avoid any problem. So that kind of sounds to me, it's like there's 5.5% of the supply that we're just going to keep safe just in case. And if we do anything about it, we'll tell you. We'll let you know. Hopefully that means that we'll tell you where it's going to be invested, not this is 5.5% that we might just use as the yay, we made it to the moon and take it out. So that's an interesting declaration there. I'd like to know what that is. Is that just actual reserve or what? No, because that the 4% is the reserve. I suppose it's just the team wallet. Yeah, it seems so, because they say they want to pay the team out of elsewhere, don't they? So that's just an interesting one, something I would ask the team about myself in the Discord. Form your own opinions there, look over it. But for now, that's the tokenomics anyway. Interesting approach to the initial supply. Again, overall my concern here is just the gap between the initial investment and then the public launch. If I was a whitelister and I had bought and a month and a half later there's a problem with contract audits and things like this, be getting fairly hairy about it, and it wouldn't matter how good the artwork is. So just something to think about there. Yeah, the moreover these sections, I'm thinking about the gap between whitelisting and public sale. So excuse me 1 second. Just to quickly clear the throat, sorry about that. So the tiers and stats here, these are some interesting things, but this is where we get quicker on it because it's kind of very much a light paper from here on in. You can see that it's to be announced on most of this, but it says we will introduce different tiers of loaded nodes that will have different ROI, daily reward and claim fees. Stay tuned. The team will add more information in the next few days. We will keep you updated on our Discord. So that's going to be an interesting one, but you can see they're already kind of declaring that the top, I presume, tier 1, the top rewards, daily LDN rewards is going to be 0.4. So they're starting below that 0.5. So it looks like they're going to be one of those projects with their million supply. That's how it should work out. That rewards are going to go from 0.1 up to 0.5. And maybe there's going to be some sort of compounding incentive where you can make it above that 0.5 up to that 1. And maybe the 1 reward per wallet or whatever, per node, excuse me, that 1 reward per wallet is going to be the top tier or top status you can achieve. I don't know how they're going to break that down now, but you can see they're already declaring is going to be the 0.4, and they say the LDN price here being at 40, so you can expect that, like, I presume if it was at $10 that your daily LDN reward might be 1. But obviously that's kind of realistic, these kinds of prices. Hopefully we don't do the same as other projects and rocket there and straight back down. So this is a very confident declaration again at the same time, but their daily APR anyway is going to be a declared 1%, which is lower than a lot of projects we've seen, so hopefully more stable. You can see that their claim fees here are 20%, so the tax is also quite high. That essentially makes your rewards lower, like they said before. So one to keep an eye on there, how these tiers play out and what the incentivization mechanisms are here. Could be advantageous for the project, could be very encouraging for people coming in. It could also be to its detriment. You don't know, because it could depend in DeFi. Often the things we think look like really good onboarding stability mechanisms are actually a turn-off to larger investors in DeFi, which is an interesting thing, how things play out. Now, I suppose that might lead to a situation that you want, which is a longer, more sustainable growth. So that'll just be an interesting one to keep the eye on, because of course your rewards here are essentially like 0.38 or whatever. So yeah, and that's quite a confident declaration, and this is all daily of course, but that's quite a confident declaration that the rewards would be at this rate. If the LDN price was $40, I don't know, I suppose it all depends on what the node ecosystem is like at that stage and how much confidence there is in all the projects. Again, we've another Lite-Paper move here, essentially. Compounding is under construction, but that's an interesting thing. I suppose it's the kind of thing that takes development and is involved in the contract, so we might have to wait a while to see that. We can read this out again. After the launch of the DAP, a series of NFTs created in collaboration with graphic designers will be launched. They'll take a snapshot of all the node buyers during the pre-sale and airdrop them the NFTs before public mint. Each NFT will have a characteristic that can improve your reward or reduce the claim fees, so it's both maybe. For example, a very rare NFT could give you a percentage LDN more per day. Okay, so a boost, or increase the number of maximum nodes in your wallet. Right, other exclusive benefits will be announced soon. So those are both boosts that they suggest as an example. Yet they say perhaps you could improve your rewards or reduce the claim fees. So hopefully this is a lot in collaboration with the community, but this doesn't seem so set in stone, which tells me it's not developed yet. So again, another worry if we're going to just thinking, not FUD, if we're going to launch at the start of April with that whitelist sale. I suppose we only have really a week, 10 days to there. And what have you got left in the amount of development you to do after that? So that's all I think about there, is one to maybe have a chat with the team about type of thing. Hopefully they're up to doing AMAs and things like that. I wonder, is there a language barrier there, or how good their English is and stuff? But again, to hear a voice, an experienced voice, or the voice that is developing the project and knows what they expect for this kind of thing, talk over this is always the most encouraging thing. You know, do they have the start of, or even a birth of mechanics for this stuff? That's what you want to know. Not necessarily the most difficult thing to code in, but if the NFTs aren't even developed, that can be just a slightly worrying sign when you're looking into doing the whitelist. And then you've got the public sale when public sale, because that's what the whitelisters will want just as much as people who want to buy into the project. Whitelisters will want the project to launch because they know their investment hasn't just been a sunk cost. So that's all I'm concerned about there, is how the sale is going down. And there'll be a possibility to stake the NFT will also be considered in the near future. So it's kind of another, maybe we'll do the NFT staking thing that's really hot at the moment. Fair enough. I'm more of a, under promise over deliver when I read white papers. Is what I like to see. Tell us what's coded and developed now, kind of thing. Not to be just a fodder. I appreciate projects having a roadmap and ambitions and goals, but a possibility to stake the NFT will be considered. I suppose it's kind of keeping us all happy because we're so happy to stake NFTs here on Cronos, is it? Maybe. Looks even like a sentence that was kind of added after the fact. So, I'm not being negative. I just don't appreciate that, to be perfectly honest. Making an exciting announcement in a couple of months when everything's ready to go and you say, hey, we're going to do some staking. Yay. So not to be a fudder, just don't appreciate that sentence so much, to be honest. And it seems it doesn't like me anymore either. Oh, brilliant. We didn't have the Wi-Fi on. Isn't that so typical? I would have presumed that it was kind of preloaded, but wouldn't you know, just as we go to, it's just because I went FUD. It's the only reason. It was the only reason. So just try and switch the Wi-Fi there, and here we go. So we're back. So this is the bit about the NFT marketplace, which is under construction. Again, more info coming soon. So I presume that means that you'll be able to sell NFTs you were airdropped, or if you bought in early, that you'll be able to sell them in the long run. Again, all under construction. It's very much looking white paper style from here. So again, we have another informations. Leave them off just with the language barrier. Just saying, I'm here if you need a proofer. So the private sale, the initial liquidity, this is their business model breakdown. The initial liquidity will be set for the public sale, and only the whitelisters be able to buy. The public token launch, they're working on an anti-dump mechanic for through higher fees at the launch, and then downgrade in time to prevent a potential dump in order to build a strong community. I did think this was interesting. It's good they're recognizing it. It's just something to be wary of, that sometimes there's basically nothing a project can do to stop things like bots and whales and large wallets and gamification of systems. But they say at least they're working on an anti-dump mechanic through higher fees. So I presume there'd be tiers of fees. Like if you wanted to compound up to hundreds of thousands, you'll just have to pay more tax, basically, which would encourage, I suppose, stability within the project by reducing people's ability to make larger and larger sales, and it incentivizes more regular sales, and therefore, more stability as there is more money coming in and out all the time, rather than huge dumps of money coming out every so often. And of course you would see those at regular intervals, and as one person did it, another one and another, and that would cause a larger candle and the chart would start to fall off, kind of thing. So that's what they're answering there. It's just how I'd be very interested how that's going to be done in the meantime. So we also have the node price repartition, they call it here, broken down. It's the same as we've seen before. So again, this is just repetition kind of the tokenomics, the initial investment liquidity, and where that's going to go. Again, here we have a claim fees breakdown, so that's interesting. It's 50% to the reward pool, 20% treasury, 10% to liquidity, kind of liquidity and investments, I presume. 10% to the reserve and 10% to the team. So as well as the team wallet, we have the 10% of fees. Now I presume this is going to be used for like regular wages and stuff like that. That's what they declared back in the launch, I think, was it, or the pre-sale section. That's what they were talking about there, where that 10%. So that's why I was thinking, oh, that's quite large. It's actually 4.5% of the tokenomics is a team / reserve, and then 10% of the claim fees is going to them. So that gives them a regular income and stuff. And then there's another 10% going to the reserve. So we can go through that operational scheme that they've given us here. Again, that kind of breaks that down nicely. But a staking system for our token and for our future NFT collection. Each NFT or LDN token will be locked during a period, and depending how long the period is, a multiplier will be added with the percentage APR. Okay. So essentially that's what they're implying their staking system is going to become. That's fair enough. Interesting. approach and that. But again, it's something if it's not developed, you want to see this come to fruition quite quickly within the next month or something. If it's going to be introduced in the project, then it should be there. Not just fudding, but it sounds like this is going to be one of its unique selling points and something that they want to be an incentive to come into the project. If you ask me, that should be developed from the off, or at least very early, so that you have like previews and things like that for people to enjoy, or again, that can be used in the marketing campaign to incentivize people moving into the project. So be interested in that one. I just want to hear from the team what their plan is there, and to see action and boots on the ground on it, because if it isn't the case, I think you can lose traction at the start for those whitelist investors in particular. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that. Pool farming in the future, bond mechanics for our LDN token, and wait until Cronos implementation, then become a validator as well. Okay, so I presume what they're implying there is they want to launch fully, and then also become a validator. That's cool. It would be good to see the validator first, if anything, or become a validator as soon and as early as possible. That's one way of establishing a presence on the chain, a very responsible presence, because you're actually part of the chain's operation there, and I suppose some sort of credo, or kudos on the network, on the chain itself, from both potential investors, devs, other projects, etc. So validator as soon as possible, I would say. Pretty please, if I was a potential investor. The bond mechanics for the LDN token, that's something that's very interesting. I presume sort of a revenue or a share token in some way. I presume they're going to, based on experience, the case would be that you'd be able to convert your LDN token into a bond, and then redeem it at certain values or whatever. I'm not sure. Maybe, or that you would convert your LDN into a bond, and that you would receive revenue from the protocol of the share, something like that. So interesting, but again, a lot of kind of firing out the sort of the buzzwords and the things you want to hear, and them not necessarily being fully developed. So just something I'd like to hear from the team themselves on that these things have moved forward quite quickly. So we'd want to do the same ourselves now, getting on to 43 minutes. We're going fairly slow here. But if you want to have a more detailed look through this, I was going to use it to kind of break down everything, but I suppose you can kind of look at it yourself. So once just zoom in on and follow all of the arrows is kind of interesting. Imagine the liquidity flowing for yourself, the money coming in this direction with the purchase of a node here. And that just starts up a loaded node. Sorry, that does those things there. Just over here is just to highlight it in front of you. So then the daily rewards become claim fees and monthly fees. So I'm wondering what that means, what the monthly fees versus the claim fees. Is there an inherent fee even if you were to not sell, I suppose? And I didn't see that anywhere. Sorry now to be a bit all over the place. Second discovery for me too. Doesn't seem to say that there's an implied sort of regular tax. So I wonder myself what the monthly fees are. That kind of escaped me looking at this for the first time. Again, it's something that I'll check in on the team with. We're on Lite-Paper, again, still on Lite-Paper. But you can see all of this feeds into the fees manager here, which we've had broken down for us. 4% for the reserves, 5.5% for team, 18% for treasury, 58% for the reward pool. And some of that obviously is then still in our initial liquidity, the LDN CRO pairing that will be created and constantly building. Hopefully that would be the aim there. So there is obviously another reward manager for the marketplace fees, which is how they plan to incentivize the NFTs. Obviously that users, owners would get fees back, but for now this kind of looks to me like there should be a line drawn right around here. This looks terrible. but again, unless developed, unless ready to go, unless launching with everything else, kind of not interested, and struggling to see how it's going to help unless it's right within that first month, within the April, upon launch, because you want that to be there as an incentive for initial investors, not just the people who are in the project already. Fair enough, they might want the boost or reduction in rewards, but it's not necessarily the be all and end all for a project, so don't necessarily promise it if it isn't going to be a front and center feature in the product. That's all I would think, not to be FUD on the NFTs thing, but have it ready to go, hopefully. But you can see all of the breakdown of the fees here and where they go. And I do like here that they have under the team wallet is the giveaway, moderators, developers, and other teams. So I like the fact that the giveaway is coming out of that. It's coming out of a team side of the treasury. They don't just, I suppose they're not planning to just take things out of the rewards or treasury pool in order to do giveaways and things like that. And then also that the reserve pool is what's declared for partnerships, talent acquisition, marketing, and other, like we read in the white paper. So we'll try and get through the rest of it fast enough. The investments here, they want to dive into liquidity provision, other node projects. We're currently viewing Strong, Gala, and Thor as our first investments. That's fair enough. The validator nodes I'm more interested in will be setting up and running validator nodes on multiple chains such as Crow, Sol, AVAX, and ETH. Fan of the Crow and ETH to some validators there, especially ETH. If the project itself is a validator on ETH, that's a big thing. Not to be anti any other chains or anything, but it's kind of like keep it ecosystem direct so that all of your partnerships could benefit from that and stuff too. I just see that you might grow faster if you're ETH and Crow native. That's why I'm kind of myself about just straight up investing in other node projects. That could become dangerous for all node projects in the long term, because one suffers, the rest of them suffer. If anyone's depending in any way on a percentage of their liquidity to come from another project, it's not very stable. But who am I to say? That could turn out a very successful play, a very successful approach, but much more interested in the LP, who they're going to partner with, how they will approach dexes and what dexes they're going to approach to do that. They're currently viewing Crow pairs on Cronos and will make a poll on the Discord before the snapshot.org space is launched. So that's fairly upfront. At least they're going to the community to find out. So I'm going to presume probably Mad Meerkat will end up the winner. Who knows? But yeah, maybe. The liquidity provision and the validator nodes, that's what I'd be a lot more interested in there. They would be the encouraging things to me. Their values here, I like. Screenshot, perhaps. Command Shift 4, 3 if you're on a Mac. So that's good declaration to have. It's nice. Nice thing to put in front of the community that you can read and say, okay, you said that, our most precious asset is the trust of our community. So all this good stuff, again, to read through yourself if you want to see it. The contract, obviously not here yet. Updates, more to come. The team was an interesting one if you want to read through this yourself, but essentially Foam is the founder of the project and a CDC Cronos believer. He's an expert in Solidity and a full stack dev, improving his skill every day in an innovative blockchain startup, I presume Loaded Nodes, while studying in a blockchain engineering course. He does his best to bring Loaded Nodes to life. So I think Mobius is the same, and it kind of looks like they're in college together, which is fair enough. That's cool. Absolutely no judgment there, as long as there's a lot of experience across the team, would be a big thing. And I think they mentioned somewhere in all of this, there was somewhere they mentioned having advisors or collaborators for the project, and I presume that's going to happen anyway as they grow. If they're a good project, they look good and get sales and develop a community as a result, then they're going to get attention from elsewhere. The character I'm interested in here is Baxter, the founder of the Loaded Nodes project. Baxter is the artistic director and the man behind the visual identity of Loaded Nodes, which I am very impressed by. I have to say that was a smart move, having, some sort of like a awareness of how important looking good is going to be going forward. And I think they have someone down here as well that we'll get to, a 3D creator who's bringing videos and media to the ecosystem. So that's a cool approach. It seems to be from that guy. Baxter also takes care of the organization with the different team members of the project to carry out communication and marketing, always working on something. He does everything to carry out successful projects. So it seems he's the kind of artistic lead, a main founder, visionary kind of thing, and he's the marketing leader. So that's where the vision of this has come from and stuff, and seems to be between the three guys here as the founding members that have brought everybody else together. But I like then the fact that there's a separate list of developers. You can see, I'm going to ruin this. Is it Smazzer? Smazzer? I'm not sure. That's terrible. But I don't even know where that name is from. I've never seen anything like it. But blockchain, I apologize for that to that blockchain advisor if we ever encounter each other in the Discord and stuff. But blockchain project advisor, he will guide and advise us on how to bring Loaded Nodes as leading DeFi platform and much more to the Cronos chain. And that's what I was talking about before. They do at least have an experienced head, which is very reassuring, because if they are younger and less experienced, it doesn't mean that they're not good developers. It just means that they might be new in blockchain. So that's always something to be wary of, especially with a node reward protocol token that can be very shaky. Good to know they have someone there with a lot of experience. Then you have a full stack who works on the website and the UI and UX design, and another one who seems to work in the on-chain interactions. So that's encouraging. Then you have an SEO dev as well. So, 3 extra devs besides to work on all of the web stuff and everything, the NFTs we were talking about, all of that, that's encouraging. Overall, 5 devs and an advisor is a good team. It's a good start, at least. Then you have a separate Discord moderator, lead moderator, and a Discord architect, which is, I presume, where all of our great look and stuff has come from. And that's important because community and Discord is a whole separate part of this interaction, and they're recognizing that here with 3 whole separate members. And I believe, so there's marketing. I was going to say there's other moderators, but I think some of them are just in the Discord and they look like moderators. So we have 2 on a marketing team here. It says it wasn't a difficult choice to bring Vladede on board after seeing his previous project and expertise in the space. So it seems they have other people who've worked elsewhere in crypto too. That's an encouraging sign. Those people wouldn't have bothered, obviously, if they didn't think there was something to work with here. So Baxter again listed as the lead designer, and then we have a Saitam, working closely with Evan, the 3D creator, to bring videos. And so this is Evan down here, the 3D artist and creator. Animate visually, I presume they meant, again, a little bit of a language barrier on top of the videos. This is interesting too, just to have a whole design and content, marketing teams and all of that. That shows a lot of strength. Good again, whole separate approach to Discord. And then 5 devs plus an advisor. That's encouraging. Again, that is very encouraging. And that's what's contributed to the look and the amount of work that is there so far. So the security side of this, then they're just going through what they plan to do for the token contract. For the multisig, they'll have a multisig for the token contract, treasury, reward, and reserve pools. So that's interesting. That's good. Looks safe and secure. Liquidity locked upon creation for 1 year initially. Love to ask them what that means. I presume when they say initially, it'll just be that initially we'll have 1 year definite locked liquidity. It doesn't mean we're going to lock the liquidity for 1 year initially. Within that 1 year, the year timeline might change. That's very, maybe it's careful choice of words, or it's actually the opposite. And it just means, okay, we have a year of locked liquidity. That's usually what projects say, but it's funny, it might just be the language thing again. KYC planned for within the first weeks of the project launch. Again, that's kind of an interesting one. So that means after whitelist purchase, which is fair enough. Okay. Again, want to keep in touch with the team about maybe, you don't have to do a KYC, but a private docs, AMA, things like that. Just let people hear a voice before a waitlist and during the public launch. That would be encouraging. And then it just says team of seasoned blockchain developers behind the scenes. Okay, so again, I suppose it's the language thing. It's not a we will thing, but just they're saying we have seasoned blockchain developers behind the scenes, which is good. So then the token under construction, same with the NFTs. And we're back to our disclaimer here, which again, like to repeat myself, none of it financial advice, just sharing, trying to be positive, and maybe take some slightly critical looks at bits of this white paper at least. If you enjoyed this, hit the like and the subscribe button. Obviously, we'll do a couple more of these. I like the white papers. I like to think this stuff out myself. Think out what questions I would like to ask the team if they're doing an AMA, or am I going to have to drop them in Discord and stuff like that. And obviously for yourself, I hope this was kind of helpful. I know a lot of people don't like to do the grunt work of going through the white paper themselves. If you're not so confident doing that, hopefully I can explain some of this stuff. Hopefully it was worth listening to, and even just a bit of entertainment for yourself in the background. We certainly did enough on it. Certainly did enough anyway. 1 whole hour. I will most certainly sign off there. Say goodbye and good night. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the Cronos Watcher again. And I will more than likely see you tomorrow for some prices and charts. So that was Loaded Nodes. Drop some questions and comments down below if you want to know anything. I'll try and put some stamps and chapters into this now, so it's become an hour long. It's going to be a nightmare. I'll have to watch it all back. But yeah, definitely interact in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter if you liked it and stuff. Show that thumbs up, some support from the Crow fam. And again, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining.